Hey everybody, Edre here, and I am back with a new album review. This time I am going to be reviewing the new Fenne Lily album, Breach. This is an indie artist from Deep Ocean Records, which is a really good record label, which obviously has Bright Eyes, I believe Phoebe Bridgers too. Two great artists. Overall, a really great indie label in my opinion. A bit of background, I believe this is her second studio album. I could be wrong, so do not quote me on that. But she does have a very indie, very minimalist sound. And that does continue on this album in many spots. It does seem to have a bit of garage influence on some of the tracks. And there are some more raw, straightforward tracks on here as well. And it does have a very alternative sound. Oftentimes, it kind of reminds me of some of the alternative bands of the 90s. But overall, it's a very indie album. That's the best way to put it. It opens up with To Be a Woman, which is a very atmospheric opener, which is like a lot of openers I've heard, are very much kind of a mood setter. It kind of is a mood setter for what's to come. And if you just realize what I did, I have ice cream, and I'm trying to soften it, so I'm recording a video and hoping that is edible by the time I am done, so I apologize if you were confused. After To Be a Woman, it goes into Allapathy, and Allapathy is a very raw indie song. It's one of the ones that does seem to have a bit more garage influence on there. It has a bit more distorted guitars on there as well. Overall, pretty solid track, but the album to me really has to pick up around the song Berlin, which it has some great clean guitar walks and licks throughout it. And a lot of the vibe I get from Berlin reminds me of something that would be a Ben's B-side from the Radiohead's early days. And it even gives me a little bit of Cranberries vibes in some spots as well. I really enjoy that song, really well executed, very good indie track. I was very satisfied with that. I Nietzsche, the following track, has an oddly nostalgic feel to it. I can't remember if that was exactly the following track, but I Nietzsche does have an oddly nostalgic feel about it despite it being brand new, and it does kind of remind me of the Smashing Pumpkins track in 1979 in a sense. Not that it sounds like it, but that I get the same sort of nostalgic feeling when listening to I Nietzsche as when I listened to 1979. However, though, not all the songs on here really do end up coming across as great as I nearly would have hoped. For example, the song Birthday I thought to be oddly forgettable. It's one of those songs that has a good atmosphere, it has a good vibe, and much like the Killers album I was talking about, is a really tremendously put together song. However, the root of the song, the actual song itself, I think is where I have issues with. You know, you could add as many great layers onto something, you could add as much great atmosphere as you want onto something, but if the actual root song is not the greatest, it could drag down the entire project. On the flip side, you do get the opposite. Like, Solipism? I might be mispronouncing that. It's a good base of a song. It has good basis that a song needs. It's well written and all that as well, except for the fact that I just wish it had a bit more expansion on it. I wish that the song went further than it actually did. However, I will say this one does give me some Smashing Pumpkins vibes as well. Now, that theme about songs needing expansion or just simply not being great at their core and trying to make them sound artificially better, that's an overall issue I have with this album. And I like the vibe, I like the direction, I even like the production and the overall sound of this album. However, I just wish that some of these songs would have been built upon more. Like Used to Hate My Body, for example, is another one where I think that song is a song that has a lot of potential. But it could have been taken a bit further and better executed, and unfortunately it wasn't. So that is just kind of something that really stood out to me time and time again throughout this album. There is obviously, because it's a more indie album, does have a lot of acoustic tracks on here as well. Most of these have acoustic elements. You know, Someone Else's Trees is a very good acoustic track. Kind of also gives me those Ben's B-sides type feel to it. This is a bit of a shorter review, but at the end of the day, I was left liking this album. However, like I stated before, I did have some minor issues here and there, and that I just wish would have worked themselves out. Like, these songs could have gone further, and she should have scrapped some of the songs that I think, like Birthday, that aren't the best at their core, because you can add as much as you want onto a song that's already sort of average, and it won't make it that much greater. But on the flip side, there's a lot of songs here that are really good at their core that just don't go far enough. At the end of the day, I was left enjoying this album. Dead Oceans continues to put out some great indie albums that I continue to like. And I have settled on giving this album a solid 7 out of 10. It's a pretty good review for the most part. You know, I wanted to give it higher, but like I said, those flaws did drag the album down a little bit for me. I do look forward to seeing what Fenne Lily does do in the future, because this is definitely a step in the right direction, and I'm not too worried for her career. I think that she still is capable of putting out great music, so, yep, Breach, 7 out of 10.